Some relationships don't end with a fight. They end in silence. A text left unread, a call ignored, a heart quietly unraveling. And you start to wonder, if I try a little harder, maybe they'll come back. If I love them enough, they'll finally stay, right? But here's the truth, no one dares to say. Avoidants don't leave because they weren't loved. They leave because they can't face themselves. I'm Jim Rohn, and today, I'm taking you to a place most people avoid. The moment you stop chasing someone who runs from real intimacy and what really happens when you do. You think they'll forget you. They panic, they rage. Not because they lost love, but because they lost control. They'll call you cold, heartless. They'll spin stories where you are the villain, all because you chose peace over chaos. But hear me now, love should never require you to abandon yourself to be chosen. If you've ever been the one who texted first, apologized first, waited in the dark, this video is your wake-up call. Subscribe, hit the bell, because today, you stop running after them and start walking back to yourself. When you enter a relationship with an avoidant partner, you might not immediately realize that you're playing a game they never fully want to engage in. They don't want to face themselves, especially the difficult emotions like guilt, shame, or pain. These feelings are like forbidden territory where they lack the courage to tread. And you, unintentionally, become the gatekeeper for them, filling the emotional void they dare not confront. When you chase after them, call, text, or apologize even when you're not at fault, you become the person who allows them to avoid their inner self. You become the bridge that keeps them from crossing into their own truth, from seeing the hidden shadows they keep locked away. Every time you initiate contact, every time you make peace first, they breathe a sigh of relief because they don't have to take responsibility for their words or actions. They don't have to feel the pain they caused you, the guilt or shame because you have taken on that pain for them. This isn't just an unconscious strategy. It's a way to protect themselves from inner insecurity. Avoidants don't want to hurt you, at least not in the way you expect. They hurt themselves first by retreating into an internal world unreachable by you. And when you keep chasing, you unintentionally deepen their reliance on the escape. You provide escape from responsibility, from confrontation, from their true selves. But this is the moment for you to pause and recognize a vital truth. When you allow yourself to be the only lifeline, you give up your own self-respect. You are not the healer for someone unwilling to heal themselves. You deserve respect and sincerity, not empty promises or emotional on-again, off-again cycles that leave you exhausted. Self-respect isn't arrogance or rigidity. It's honoring your own worth and holding firm boundaries when someone cannot or will not respond properly. When you dare to stop chasing an avoidant, you step into a new journey of growth, choosing yourself over exhausting psychological games. You're telling yourself, I'm not afraid of loneliness. I am strong enough to stand without your validation. And the magic happens when you hold these boundaries. Instead of being saved by your pursuit, the avoidant is forced to face the feelings they've long avoided. They may become angry, try to pull you back at any cost, but most importantly, you are no longer an enabler of their avoidance. You've become someone who stands tall in their own value, refusing to be tossed around by someone else's emotional unpredictability. Love is not an endless chase. True love begins with self-respect, understanding, and accepting your own limits. When you learn not to chase avoidance, you're also learning to accept that some people aren't meant for you, and that's not your fault. Remember, peace doesn't come from clinging to unhealthy relationships, but from having the courage to stand for yourself, to say no to behaviors that hurt you, to walk away from connections that diminish you. I'm not saying it's easy. I know the pain of letting go, the loneliness when no one is chasing you anymore. But believe me, when you have the courage to stop chasing avoidance, you open the door to a fuller life where you can be yourself, loved and respected in the way you truly deserve. After realizing that chasing an avoidant only causes you to lose yourself, you enter a much harder phase, facing the truth that they don't just avoid emotions, they use subtle manipulation to make you feel like the one at fault, the one responsible for all the pain. When you start showing vulnerability, pleading for forgiveness, explanations, or simply a little care, they turn it into a weapon to justify their behavior. They say things like, "If I'm so bad, why do you still need me? Why do you keep calling, texting, forgiving me?" This isn't about empathy or understanding. It's a clever trap that puts you in the role of the pursuer, the one who's always wrong, always weak, always needing to change to keep them around. They deny all the harm they caused by flipping the script, making you the one to blame. Every plea from you reinforces their belief that they don't have to change or take responsibility. The more you chase, the more freed they feel from guilt and self-reflection. This creates a toxic cycle where the more you try to save things, the more manipulated you become, losing control and respect for yourself. The truth is, when an avoidant manipulates this way, they're not deliberately trying to hurt you. It's their way of protecting themselves from painful truths they can't bear. They're not perfect, they have flaws, and they hurt you. Instead of owning that and facing their mistakes, they shift the spotlight onto you, forcing you to explain yourself, prove you're not wrong, while they stand outside the game innocent and untouchable. But you must understand, this is not your fault. You didn't create this game, and you don't have to suffer all the pain to keep it going. Every time you get caught in blame shifting, you lose your freedom and the respect you deserve. As you start to see this clearly, you'll realize it's not your responsibility to make someone else accountable. Every adult must own their actions. You cannot do it for them, nor should you let them manipulate you into the mud. Now you understand that keeping distance, not chasing, and not reacting to blame or emotional games is the only way to protect yourself. When you stay silent and firmly refuse to chase, you're not being cold or heartless as they might claim. You're protecting your inner peace and affirming your worth without needing anyone else's approval. You'll also see that avoidant manipulation isn't always obvious or crude. Sometimes it's gentle words, distant looks, fleeting gestures enough to make you doubt yourself, wonder if you're really wrong or to blame. Recognizing and rejecting these tactics is your first step out of that painful cycle. No one has the right to make you feel small or weak for wanting safety and respect in a relationship. You deserve honesty, clarity, and unconditional respect. And it begins with respecting yourself by refusing to let anyone manipulate your emotions, willpower, and worth. With determination, you teach others that you are not a puppet to be controlled. You're no longer the one easily dragged into exhausting emotional dramas. You choose to keep your soul pure, steady, and bounded, not allowing anyone to cross without permission. Importantly, you're not alone on this journey. Many have stood where you stand, been manipulated, burdened with guilt and pain, and they learn to let go, to say no to these subtle games, to hold on to their self-respect and inner peace. You can do the same. You can step out of the shadows of manipulation and embrace the light of freedom and true love, love that starts from within you. When you dare to stop chasing, you reclaim your power, the power to live authentically, be loved genuinely, and be respected fully. When you start to keep your distance and firmly refuse to chase the avoidant, you will soon notice a drastic change in their behavior. They lose control. Before, when you tried to patch things up, they knew exactly how you would respond. They could hold on to the connection by making you text, apologize, or keep trying. But now, when you choose silence and do not respond, they fall into confusion and lose their footing because they no longer have anything to hold on to, anywhere to reinforce their fragile ego. The ego of an avoidant is often very fragile, and you, by chasing them, texting first, apologizing, or trying to keep the relationship alive, have become a solid anchor, a source of reassurance that allows them to maintain a false sense of security. When you are no longer that anchor, they are like a rudderless ship in a stormy sea, confused and panicked. And in that panic, they often react with anger or sometimes attack you in an attempt to pull you back. You will hear hurtful words, "You never truly loved me," "You don't care about me," or even, "You're the only one ruining everything." These words are not the truth but a test to trigger your emotions, pulling you back into the old trap, back into the role of the pursuer, the one who must explain, convince, and chase once more. It is their way of reestablishing the old order, where they still control you and don't have to face their deep sense of helplessness. However, their anger and attacks are not meant to defeat you but are the clearest expressions of their fear and loss of control. They don't know how to keep you when you no longer chase. They have no other tools to handle their inner emotional chaos besides using hurtful words or actions to test you. This is your opportunity to see their true nature, not a lover who cares for you as you need, but someone trapped by their own fears and insecurities. At this stage, you will face significant psychological challenges. When they get angry and attack, your natural instinct is to respond, defend yourself, or even explain to keep the peace. But if you fall into this trap, you quickly return to the pursuer's role, losing the calm and self-respect you have been building. That's why it is crucial to remain steady in your mind and heart. A mature person knows that silence at this moment is not coldness, but a necessary boundary to protect oneself from further harm. You don't have to rush to explain or justify your feelings to someone unwilling or unable to take responsibility. You have the right to remain silent not out of fear, but out of respect for yourself enough not to enter unfair battles. This does not mean giving up entirely, but creating a safe space for yourself, a space where you are not drawn into negative emotional dramas. You give yourself the chance to calm down, heal, and recognize your true worth without needing anyone's approval or pursuit. When you do not react or chase, they will be forced to face the emptiness you left behind. That emptiness may panic them more than you imagine. They might try to change their behavior, or they might truly walk away. But no matter the outcome, you are no longer controlled by their manipulation and fear. You have become the one actively holding your own life and emotions. From here, you gradually learn that love is not a tiring chase, not endless begging or apologizing. Love is equality, mutual respect, and if that's missing, you have every right to say no and walk away. Remember, not chasing is not failure. It is the bravest and smartest thing you can do to protect your dignity and inner peace. Only when you are strong enough to let go of what is not yours can you open the door for better things, for relationships that truly respect and cherish you. Once you have firmly set your boundaries and stopped chasing, you will begin to notice a familiar but unpleasant behavior: the fake breakup. This is a common tactic among avoidants. They don't truly want to end the relationship, but use breakup threats as a way to temporarily retreat, escape the pressure to face emotional issues, or avoid responsibility. A fake breakup is not a real breakup, but a weapon they wield to control you from afar. When they feel pressured, asked to change or engage in deep conversations, they say, "I want to break up," to slam the door in your face, forcing you to chase, to fight to keep them at any cost. This keeps you in a weak position, always anxious and ready to forgive or return just to avoid a real loss. You'll see it clearly in how they say goodbye and return days later with apologies, unrealistic promises, or actions that rekindle your hope, only to repeat the cycle again. Fake breakup, threat, return. This cycle fosters emotional dependency, making you want to hold on harder, feeling the need to save the relationship, even when you know deep down it's unhealthy and painful. Avoidants use fake breakups to avoid real dialogue. Dialogue about feelings, needs, understanding, and accountability. They don't want to face difficult questions, don't want to change or take responsibility. Instead, they retreat verbally without taking real action, creating just enough distance to feel safe while keeping you as a backup plan. This causes prolonged uncertainty and deep pain for you, eroding your self-worth. Am I not good enough? Was I wrong to hope for a healthy relationship? These doubts pull you deeper into the exhausting cycle of trying to hold on to someone who isn't truly committed. Remember, a real relationship isn't built on threats, fake breakups, and ambiguity. Healthy relationships require clarity, honesty, and mutual commitment. If your partner repeatedly uses fake breakups as a tool, it shows they're unwilling or unable to engage in a mature, responsible relationship. You deserve sincerity and clear commitment, not emotional tug-of-war that leaves you hurt and lost. Accepting to live in a loop of fake breakups means allowing yourself to be stuck in uncertainty and unnecessary pain. Have courage. True courage is not holding on to someone who doesn't want to stay, but knowing when to let go to make room for better things. When you stop getting pulled into the cycle of fake breakups, you give yourself the chance to build a new life and new relationships where you are truly loved and respected. See this as a vital step in your growth, from vulnerability and manipulation to knowing your worth and choosing to stop what harms you. This is not failure, it's a victory of self-respect and resilience. You might face loneliness, loss, and the pain of change, but these are necessary steps to become whole, to find peace and real happiness. Most importantly, you're learning to love yourself properly, not through sacrifice or endurance, but through honoring and protecting your own value. If you want to break this cycle and have a truly healthy love, start by facing the truth. Fake breakups are not the choice of a mature, responsible person, and you deserve better. Don't fear letting go, it's how you open the door to a brighter future. If you find this helpful, stay with me in the next part, where I'll share how to maintain your dignity and peace when facing these emotional challenges. Don't forget to subscribe and hit the notification bell so you won't miss any valuable videos. As you begin to recognize the emotional roller coaster caused by fake breakups, you'll start to see a clearer picture of the kind of relationship avoidants typically maintain what we call the on-off relationship, a subtle yet dangerous form of remote control. This is a strategy avoidants use to keep themselves feeling free while still controlling your emotions, making you more of a backup plan than an equal partner. What does an on-off relationship mean? It's when they come close to you, open up a little, create warm moments that make you believe things might be okay. Then, as intimacy grows and they feel trapped, pressured, or scared of losing freedom, they pull away, disconnecting and leaving you feeling lost and hollow. They don't really leave completely, but they don't fully show up either. They maintain just enough distance to avoid facing themselves and emotional commitments. This traps you in heavy inner conflict. You want them close but fear getting hurt. You hope for stability but are pulled into uncertainty. This isn't love, it's a subtle form of control, where avoidants use alternating closeness and distance to keep you perpetually unsure, unable to fully let go, but never truly at peace. You become the backup plan in their world, someone they turn back to when they need comfort, care, or certainty, but easily switch off when feeling too close or attached. This isn't because you lack value, but because they fear losing freedom and deep connection. And even though you know this, you're caught in the cycle by compassion and hope that if you try hard enough and are patient enough, they will change. However, here's the crucial thing to remember: no one changes unless they truly want to. You cannot be the only one making an effort to sustain a relationship. Being stuck in an on-off dynamic drains your mental health, emotional strength, and self-trust. You deserve to be an equal partner, loved fully and consistently, not a backup plan toggled on and off at their whim. More importantly, recognizing and setting boundaries with this type of relationship is the first step to breaking the toxic cycle. When you refuse to be the on-off player, you protect your worth and preserve your peace and emotional maturity. You teach the avoidant that you are not an emotional toy to be manipulated at will. This isn't easy, as you will face feelings of loss, loneliness, and inner struggle. But this is when you prove your strength, the strength of someone who respects themselves, knows when to stop, and chooses a healthier path. You don't need to wait or hope for change that may never come. You can create a life with healthy relationships where you are treated equally, where love isn't governed by exhausting on-off games that drain your soul. Remember, every time you say no to such relationships, you say yes to yourself, to freedom and genuine happiness. You send a powerful message that you are valuable, worthy of complete love, and not anyone's backup plan. The next step on this journey is learning when to let go and when to hold on, to build a life free from instability and manipulation. You are not alone, and every step you take brings you closer to freedom, true and healthy love. If you find yourself caught in an endless cycle of chasing and holding on to an avoidant, remember this: stopping isn't a game or a sign of coldness. It's your first step toward freedom. It's a powerful declaration that you refuse to participate in a relationship defined by irresponsibility and emotional avoidance. You owe no one your attention or affection, especially not those unwilling to give and receive fairly. By not chasing, you protect your value, preserve your self-respect, and honor your emotions. You choose growth, clarity, and true love where both partners work, take responsibility, and build together. Don't fear that your silence will push them away. That silence is the space you create for healing and peace. It's your way of telling yourself and the world that you deserve to be loved, fully, not as a backup plan or a pawn in manipulation. Trust that by letting go of what's not yours, you open the door to genuine love, healthier relationships, and a fuller life. This is not an end, it's the beginning of a new journey, where you are the author of your own story.